The SAG Awards are truly the middle child of award season. They don't come first, they don't come last. They're never as crazy as the Golden Globes, and they're not quite as revered as the Oscars. But they are the one union that gets its own televised award show. And why, you ask? Well, we can't miss an opportunity to televise all those pretty faces. So I wanted to show the SAG Awards some love this award season by watching a few of the nominees, starting with a romantic comedy, Nobody Wants This.
I really swear, I wasn't planning on starting this. I wanted to do it a much more professional way, but I just started Nobody Wants This on Netflix. I just watched one episode, the very first one, and I'm already so charmed by this show. There is something about it. And I would love to talk more about this in videos. I keep getting too many video ideas and then not enough time to do them. But I feel like there's something so early 2000s charm about this. There's so many mundane moments in life that are romantic comedy moments. If you get it, you get it. But there's something about this and the simpleness of it and the simple act of him walking her to her car and her showing up at the Shabbat service, and it's really charming, and I feel like it's set up so beautifully in that first episode of like these two people have no reason to have this meet cute and get together, but like his sermon says at the end, like there are things that push you towards whatnot and you can't just ignore those things, and even if they don't feel big. And like 5 out of 5 star, so good. I know I'm so behind on this one too, but if for some reason you have yet to watch Nobody Wants This, like I might be up all night. I think I might just watch one more episode. It's already like, where's the clock? It's already 1 a.m. But I want to watch more. It's just so cute. So I might fill you guys in on the morning. I'm fully aware in advance that this was psychotic behavior. And I'm fully aware that I'm going to regret this tomorrow. The thrill I just had finishing that finale, it is 4:40 in the morning. I binged all 8 episodes. Luckily, I don't have anything to do tomorrow. However, it is fully almost 5 o'clock in the morning. I have tried to fall asleep during this, telling myself I can just pick it up in the morning. But I am so thrilled because I was like, I hadn't heard anything about a season 2. I knew how big of a show this was, but I was like, perhaps, there's 10 episodes. Excuse me, there's 10. That was 10 episodes. Yes, that would explain 5 hours since literally midnight. And you know what's crazy? As I literally told myself, you know what? We're not going to play Marvel Rivals tonight. We're just going to watch one episode of this show while I fold laundry. And then we're going to go to bed. It's now almost 5 in the morning. I do feel tired now. But I cannot express how good this show was. If this was a book, it would be 5 stars. If this was a movie on Letterboxd, I'd be immediately all 5 stars hearting it. Like, this show was so good in the way that, like, Crazy Rich Asians shocked everyone, and the way that, like, this will be a classic that when I have children, when I have a young daughter someday, and she's like, Mom, like, let's hang out and watch a rom-com. It will be this. Like, I loved this show. Kristen Bell and Adam Brody are 2 of the most charismatic, charming, beautiful people. And they are so TV while feeling bigger than TV at the same time. And I think that's what really worked about this, is they feel like small screen, big star kind of thing. The world needs more of this, and the world just needs more rom-coms like this, and things that are funny and unexpected and charmingly so, and also kind of have just these real conversations about relationships and religion and faith and people's belief systems and life and like wanting to make something work with somebody. And it's just, I can't even be mad that I stayed up for 5 hours to watch this because it was so stinking good. And thank God they already had it renewed because I would be losing my crap if that was the ending and there was no season 2. Now I'm fully delusional. And when my husband watches back this footage and sees that while he was gone, this is what I chose to do with my time, he's going to have questions. And so therefore, I'm going to go to bed.
I'm back from my trip where I got to watch A Real Pain on the airplane. I watched this in The Wild Robot, which I probably won't get to talk about The Wild Robot because it's not nominated for SAG, so I maybe will talk about that in my Oscars video, but I got to watch A Real Pain, for which Kieran Culkin is nominated. I thought he was great in this movie, and I thought this movie was a great movie, to be completely honest. Like, I know we're talking about performances specifically for this video, but I loved it so much. I am usually not, and by usually I mean like almost never do I opt in for like a nothing happens movie. Like, been able to, like, I just don't like a movie where not that much happens. Like, I like to feel connected to his character, or I like an interesting plot, or I like just like a tension filled film. And this movie is kind of, I guess, character. That's the one it falls under. And I think the character here of one cousin, Jesse Eisenberg's character, who is so like OCD, like tried to keep his life so perfectly together, is clearly like wants to be this like force of nature that Kieran Culkin's character is, but accepts that he's not that and is just trying to kind of control his life. Meanwhile, you have this cousin, Kieran Culkin's character, who is all over the place, like struggling with mental health. It's expressed that he has struggled with, like, he formerly had a drug overdose, and this character that is so full of like mountain peaks and troughs of just like highs and lows of this just like experience of the spectrum of life, and is almost like bipolar to some extent in the way that his character like half the time will find something like wildly fun that could be perceived as offensive, and then something that would be just like, hey, like, we're just experiencing this as something that's like wildly disgusting. Like, I think the scene that was most impactful for me was the second day they're on this trip and he's on the train and he's talking about how like it's crazy for them to be in a first class train going to tour different important Jewish sites in Poland, I believe is where they are in the film. And he just feels wrong about it. Like, he's like, I can't do this knowing my ancestors were in pain, struggling, murdered, and I can't deal with this level of like luxury in juxtaposition with the suffering that we're supposed to be talking about. And I think it's really interesting because it's like, until you hear somebody put it into that context, you would never think of it that way. At the same time, I think it's like, this character is just such a unabashed expression of a human being trying to find their way through the world. And I think that's why, even though in this film, like, for me, it's a nothing happens movie where it's not like somebody is like gets a job, it's not like somebody's working towards something, it's this experience these two cousins go on of this vacation, but they both like walk away from it, I think, a little bit changed, and or at least like have a new contextualization for their relationship. I also really related to the idea of like not being the fun one, not being the fun cousin. Jesse Eisenberg's character, I think, is more like me, where it's like, I am just trying to get through life. And there's like, again, the cliche version of like looking at this movie is like, each of them learns something from the other. Like, Jesse Eisenberg learns to loosen up from Kieran Culkin, and Kieran Culkin learns that, you know, like, sometimes in life, like, people are working hard and you can't just say and do whatever you want. But I think that's oversimplifying it. And I guess there's a factor of this movie, much like a couple other movies that I've watched this awards season, I'm thinking about I'm Still Here, that has a quality to it that will stick in my memory. Maybe it's the experience of watching it. Maybe it's just the impact that the film had on me personally that I have to struggle to like quantify in a review. But watching this film really struck me. I think it's really impressive. I think Jesse Eisenberg delivered a wonderful script, a wonderful performance. Like, his performance, I don't think is being praised enough. He's great in this film. I think that Kieran Culkin is just the character that is, quite literally through a monologue in this film, like, he's the character that comes in and he lights up a room, but he's also a disaster. He's a real, like, struggle to be around. But he's real. And there's just so much humanity in this movie, which again feels like such a reviewer way of like oversimplifying the film, but I really genuinely mean it. I also think of We Live in Time as a similar film of like, that movie is a little bit, it's not so much like a nothing happens film, but it's getting to the core of like human emotions and like why we are the way we are. And like at the point in life that I am, a movie like this was very impactful in a way that I don't think it would have been a year ago. Maybe won't be another year from now, but I just really, really enjoyed this movie, and I was really, really impressed by it. I think it just has such a clear, concise story and effect, and their performances, they don't feel outlandish. They feel really real. Like, they feel like real people. All the supporting cast as well. So good. So I really, really liked this movie, and I honestly do have to walk away, especially the male actor supporting role field doesn't feel as populated this year. And I think Kieran Culkin has this in the bag to win. I don't think it will go to Jeremy Strong. Ironic that we're having like another Succession year this award season. I guess it could go to Edward Norton, but I feel like Kieran Culkin there's something so slight and expert about the way that he has chaos in his performances that's different from his chaos of like his media personality. There's just a slight nuance there, but it's clear that like the performance in this film is not just Rome from, that was his name, right? Roman? Yeah. He's not just Roman from Succession. He's not just playing the Kieran Culkin bit. And I don't think Jesse Eisenberg is doing that either. It's this personification of a character, and they both just fit it so well, and really enjoy Kieran Culkin's performance. And I'm very excited to see on Sunday if he wins the SAG Award, because I think if he does, no question, he's getting the Oscar. So that's super exciting. Congrats to Kieran Culkin ahead of time. That's going to be my educated bet, but I would highly recommend to watch A Real Pain if you haven't yet. Good morning, everyone. Since I last checked in about SAG, I have made virtually no progress, and I'm feeling like that deadline of the SAG Awards is going to quickly approach. I'm also kind of trying to double up on watching movies that are, obviously with SAG and Golden Globes, there's going to be overlap with the Oscars. And so I am currently thinking I might start Conclave. Now, it's a little bit longer. It's 2 hours, and it's 8 a.m. I start work at 9. But my thought process is maybe if I can start this now and finish it on my lunch break, then we'll have knocked another one out today. I don't know. I feel like this is an odd film to start at 8 a.m. Like The Wild Robot would be a perfect choice, but like there's no new episode of The Traitors until tonight, so I can't watch that and kill time this morning. I am not currently in the middle of like binging a show, and I feel like now is not the best time to start. Yeah. So let's start Conclave. Hello, everyone. So sorry about this like lack of setup, but I figured most of this video was this way, so it felt authentic to keep it as a vlog. And I realized the last thing I needed to wrap up this SAG video, since I kind of unintentionally finished it a week ago, was finishing up my thoughts on Conclave, which, I'll be so honest, is my favorite Best Picture nominee at this point in time, which is February 19th, 2025. Conclave, to me, it felt like a Best Picture winner, which is such like a lame description, but it's a film that feels like it's simultaneously somewhat timeless, very relevant, which I feel like a lot of really great Best Picture winners or nominees have that quality to them. To me, it's a film that kind of struck me on both like an intellectual and emotional level in terms of the decisions these people are making, the faith element. To me, there is just something about a faith and religious symbolism in a film, especially when it's layered and it's complex and it's not just like a God's Not Dead movie. Seeing people actually struggle with like ambition and power and all this kind of stuff, like it's so interesting. I love the performances in this film. The cast feels such a high level, yet at the same time it's they kind of sink into their roles so well. Ray Fiennes, Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, they're so good in this movie. Isabella Rossellini is incredible as this like very small supporting role. Yeah, I feel like this movie, which is crazy, I didn't record my thoughts like immediately after watching it, but it's definitely my favorite. I've watched a couple more now. In fact, there's only 4 I haven't watched, so I've seen the majority of the Best Picture winners. Yeah, just everything about the experience of Conclave I enjoyed. I think there's something so cool about how the Vatican and the set design and the costumes make it feel like almost more Dune-like than like any of the other more contemporary stories. Like, it feels like it's taking place in a completely sci-fi fantasy realm because it's so otherworldly, this kind of like this sequestering that they experience and the set design of the Vatican. And it's really cool the way they're able to capture that on screen. And I just felt genuine tension and intrigue, and it was a movie I didn't know a whole ton about beforehand. And I just felt really impacted by it. And I think that's what a good movie should do. So, like, I feel like the more and more I've reviewed films recently, the more and more vague I've been, but I'm genuinely trying to be honest about my feelings. This film, I feel like, also captured the characters' hopes for what they want the future of Catholicism, what they want the future of the church, what they want the future of just people to be. It explored also like a lot of different views within a specific faith, which I think is so fascinating because it's something exists, but until you're kind of forced to face it in this way, it's like, oh, how vastly different people who are like at a dedicated level of their faith can actually be. So yeah, I just really liked it. Like, I just really did. It's a movie I also recommended to a friend who, she's the kind of person who is not usually a movie person. But I was like, hey, I feel like you might like this. And she really enjoyed it. It's a slow burn, but in the way a slow burn should be, and not just like it has pacing issues. It's a movie that has such a level of intrigue to it. And it parallels real life events. It does not shy away from certain issues that the Catholic Church has faced in the past. It's just really good. The performances are great. Everything visually is spectacular. When I say cinematography, like some of the shots in the framing of this film were so good in the moment, and also are such a good way to showcase that these are literally mere mortal men in this like otherworldly place, the Vatican. When they're voting under the Sistine Chapel painting, and they keep like interacting with this, like, it's such a good representation of how like even the most powerful of mortals, they're still not gods. Like, they're still not, like, it's in so many ways I love that movie. And so walking away from this SAG thing, if I'm going to do a ranking, which is really hard because I loved one of the movies, I really liked the other movie, and then I loved the other TV show, I feel like on something I will reference back to or be like really excited when the next season comes out, Nobody Wants This. Like, it's hard not to put that as like my number one favorite. In this case, we're very much comparing apples to oranges. But you want a romantic comedy, or you want a story about picking the next pope? I'd say Nobody Wants This is my number one. Very close, if not number one, would be Conclave. And then I guess A Real Pain would be second. But yeah, I honestly am like pulling for Conclave to, at this point, just pull a couple awards. I don't know that it will. I don't think it will. But I wanted to. I wanted to do so well. Those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video of me attempting to watch all these SAG movies. Making the Golden Globes video and this video and the upcoming Oscars video have been such a joy, and I really appreciate you watching them. So until the next one, I'll see you guys later.